Hey, everybody. Welcome to Takeoff with John Clark. I am John Clark, and we've got a special guest here. This is Michael Blackson. And I'll tell you what, 2021 is the coming out party once again. We're all hopefully going to be allowed out. And Michael, right now you're in Coming to America, which is on Amazon Prime, and you're coming to Philly at Helium Comedy Club. How good does it feel to get back out there?
It feels great, man. Great to be back out there. You know, when this pandemic started, first we thought it'd be over in a couple of weeks, then we thought it'd be over in a month. And then when it started going to 3-4 months, I thought comedy was over. I got really nervous about, live entertainment with involving audience and people. And I was trying to figure out plan B, but fortunately, late July of last year, the comedy clubs opened up a little bit. They were allowing like 25 to maybe 50% of the audience back in. In certain states, not every state. I mean, California, where I live right now, nothing has been open. Comedians have not been on stage in over a year. The local guys. And fortunately, other states like Texas and Florida and Ohio and Georgia, those guys opened up pretty much late last summer, and it was able to go back out. So, but it's Coming to America is great. It's a wonderful movie. So wonderful to be part of that. And of course, next weekend I'll be home, get to perform in the city that raised me. So I don't know which one you want to talk about first. You want to talk about Coming to America? You want to talk about coming to perform in Philly?
I'll tell you what, we're going to get into all that in a second, but I first want to talk to you about being a big Philly sports fan, and you're watching the Sixers this year. They are atop the Eastern Conference as we tape this. So how excited are you watching the Sixers this year? And do you think that they have a chance to win it all?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So excited about them. I mean, with a healthy Embiid and a healthy Ben Simmons, Tobias has really stepped it up. I know in the past, from day one when they picked him up, not even from day one, from the time they gave him the big contract, a lot of fans felt disappointed, but he has really stepped it up this year. I think those three together, as long as they're healthy, we will definitely take it all the way. Look, we beat a lot of the good teams already. We beat the Lakers. I'm not sure we beat the Lakers with was Anthony Davis playing when we beat the Lakers?
Great question.
I have to double check.
Yes, he was.
But we beat the Lakers, who are the champs. And I was there in person last week when I witnessed them come from behind to be the best team in the league right now. So I think the sky's the limit for these guys. As long as they're healthy and playing together like they are right now, they definitely have a chance of going all the way to the finals. I mean, look what Miami did. We expected that from Miami last year. And when you think about Miami Heat, all I think about is Jimmy Butler. And this was a guy that we had in our core. We had him. And, it just took Jimmy Butler, just him alone, took the whole team to the finals. We got 3 great players and a great bunch of supporting cast. I think there was no question. And I think they have built the chemistry. These guys have already built the chemistry. A lot of times it's about building chemistry. I think those guys have built the chemistry together in the past 3 years. And I think they're definitely ready to take it to the next level.
How much have you seen Joel grow his game even more this year, and also Ben Simmons?
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with Joel. When the season started, even towards last season, he looked overweight to me completely. I'm like, this guy looks overweight. He's a little slow. And, I guess during the offseason, he went to the gym, and he really put his mind to winning. You could tell he said himself, with 2021, I'm going to do what I need to do to get my team to where they need to be. And I noticed this year he's in shape. He's faster. He's shooting threes. He's doing it all, man. I'm so impressed with him. And, of course, Ben as well. He's definitely matured a lot. He's shooting much better. I know the fans, we all complain about his shooting skills, and he got better. So I think those guys have finally decided to come together as a team. I think it's all about team effort, teamwork. I think they definitely stepped it up, and they're ready to get to the next level. They're ready for the championship.
Now, I've seen you in pictures. You've gone to Eagles games with Ben Simmons, and you've hung out with Ben Simmons. And I think some people in Philadelphia haven't understood Ben. And I'm not saying he's shy, but maybe he didn't want to let a lot of people in. Do you think he's more comfortable this year and a little more open?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he might be a shy kid in person, but when he gets on that basketball court, it's a whole different story. It kind of reminds me of myself. When people are around me, I'm usually real quiet and calm. And when I get on stage, it's like, oh, you just that the same person. When I get on stage, it's a different word, because that stage is where I perform. It's, you become an entertainer. And that's what sports is at the end of the day. It's entertainment. And it's just going out there and giving your best entertainment that you can get. Give him the best that you could. And, like I said, I've hung around him. He's similar, shy, but like, that's just his personality. But I think when he gets on that stage, when he gets on that court, it's a whole different Ben.
All right, I agree with you, but here's one thing. Because when I see him pregame shooting the three, it looks beautiful now. He's got a beautiful shot now, but he doesn't want to shoot in the games. And you talk about, hey, when he's on court, he's a different person. Do you think there's a mental block, or is it confidence about shooting in games?
You know what? I haven't watched a lot of these no fans in a stadium games, because I live here in California, and I don't have a chance to see the local teams play. So usually I would catch highlights, and I would go on ESPN.com and look at the final scores. And I've been rooting for them. I haven't got the chance to see them play a lot. So I've really missed a lot of what you're talking about as far as, when he's in the court, when he's playing the game, is he afraid to shoot the three? Because that's not his, I guess shooting the three is not his best, it's not the best part of his game. His best part of his game is, more of layup and dunking and rebounding. And I think he's just a step away from a complete superstar, and I think once he has to build confidence in himself to shoot that three, and I guess it was stuff in the free throw line, So once he started making those free throws, I'm very sure this is a year where he's going to really build that confidence to make it happen. I think we need the fans in there. Once the fans go into stadiums, I think he'll build that confidence to shoot that ball.
How about you? You said you came to Philly to see the Sixers beat the Utah Jazz. What a great win that was. How important was it for you to see them in person again, and what was it like being back?
It was amazing. I mean, there was no fans. Luckily, fortunately for me, I'm very good friends with Mike Rubin, the part owner of the Sixers, my minority owner of the Sixers, and he made it happen for me. I had to take a COVID test and got into the building. And, I'm very good friends with Rudy Gobert. Actually, Rudy's a very good friend of mine. And of course, the Sixers is my heart. So it was really great to go and see them play. And I watched the game, and I saw Ben. Ben gave everything he could give. Embiid did it all. And these guys were still down. They were down throughout the whole game. And to make that comeback, when they were down by 10, 11 points, to make a comeback like that against a wonderful team, it just shows maturity and team effort. I think that's all came with a team effort and having confidence in each other to win that game. That game was amazing. That was a championship type game they did right before the All-Star break.
All right. Well, I'm going to look forward to seeing you in the arena for the finals when all the fans are allowed to be back. So that's going to be great.
Definitely, man. It'd be so exciting.
Hey, so you're in Coming to America right now on Amazon Prime, and I kind of think that could be the title for your life as well. You came over from Ghana to Philly, right, when you were 13.
13 years old, I came in from Liberia. Liberia is where I spent most of my African life, was in Liberia. I came from Liberia at 13, spent the first 2 years in Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey, and then moved to Philly, and Philly became my life, man. Philly was probably the best thing that happened to my family. My mother, she came here with me and two of my younger sisters. And when we got to Newark, it was late 80s. Things were really bad. Jersey was very tough for us. She couldn't barely get a job. Everything was much expensive in New Jersey. Like, I remember a 3-bedroom back then was over $1,000 back then in the 80s, or close to $1,000. My mother was probably making about $300 a week at that time. And she had a few friends in Philly, a few other Liberian friends that said, hey, you know, Philadelphia is not that bad. Come in, give it a try. And we came to Philly, found a 3-bedroom row house in Southwest for $300 a month. I'll never forget, right at I-50. The address is at 55th and like King Sesson Avenue, right in that area. It's a little block called Regent Street, right there. And that's why I, you know, grew up there. Went to Bartram High. By the time I got to Philly, it was 11th grade. So I spent 11th and 12th grade in Philly. And from that, I just, you know, I had a job when I got I had a job throughout 11th to 12th grade at Domino's Pizza right on South Street. I was delivering pizzas on a bike.
Did you have to do the 30 minutes or less?
Oh yeah, 30 minutes or less. Oh, it was free, man. Oh my goodness. So the thing about delivering a bike, you know, I had no license, I had no car, so it was the best thing for me. And it was the easiest thing because delivering on a bike, you don't really have to stop at the lights, you have to follow the street rules. So you can deliver a pizza within 5-10 minutes, you know, because we had like a 2-3 mile radius of where we delivered to. And I would deliver a pizza within 15, total, but from the time they place the order in, they would get that pizza in 15 to 20 minutes.
It's almost like an Olympic sport, right?
Pretty much. They should put that in there. Delivering pizza is an Olympic sport on a bike. But I did it. And then I remember when I got out of high school, couldn't afford to go to college. And my mother needed help paying rent and helping with the bills and also helping my family back home. So I had to keep working. I ended up being a manager of a Domino's Pizza at about 19 years old. And I remember I hired this one guy. He went on a part-time job. He was a full-time teaching, acting teacher at Philadelphia Community College. This guy named Kevin London. So I hired Kevin London. He wanted to be a part-time delivery guy. And when he came to Domino's, he just thought I was funny. He said, Mike, you're funny. I'm like about 19, 20 years old at this time. He said, you're funny, man. You should go to open mic. Let me help you get a 5-minute routine and go to open mic. And that's how I started. I remember my first open mic was, the comedy club was called Comedy Works. It was at 2nd and Chestnut. I don't think it exists anymore. So we used to have, Wednesday night was open mic at Comedy Works. And then Monday nights was open mic at the Funny Bone, which ended up being Catch a Rising Star and became Philadelphia Laugh House. And that's where my comedy career started. And here we are, 25 years later, man. I'm in the movie that I watched as a kid when I first came to America, which I thought was the funniest movie, my #1 top funny movie of all time. Eddie Murphy, my favorite comedian actor of all time. And I got a chance to just work with these guys, which is a dream come true.
How amazing is that? And how did it come to be that you got into Coming to America? Did Eddie reach out to you?
Well, when I was on set shooting a movie, you know, Eddie and Arsenio Hall approached me and said, hey, listen, this particular part, we know it's a small part, but when we wrote this part, you was the one we had in mind for this part. It felt great because, you know, a lot of time, you know, when movie writers write a movie, they already have people in mind of every part of when they write this movie, they write, okay, this guy's gonna play this part. People already have people in mind when they're writing a movie. And it felt good to know that Eddie Murphy had me on his radar in the last few years. But how it really came about was I was watching TMZ, and I think TMZ ran into Akon. And TMZ said, hey, Akon, Eddie Murphy is doing Coming to America too. How do you feel about it? And Akon said, well, I love the idea. I just think he need to cast a few real Africans in this movie. And then TMZ runs into Eddie Murphy and say, hey, Akon says you cast a few Africans in Coming to America too, like real Africans in Coming to America too. How do you feel? Eddie Murphy out of his mouth said, well, I know one funny African, Michael Blackson, and he mentioned my name. So when he mentioned my name, I got the clip off of YouTube, sent it to my agent. I said, hey, listen, I'm not going to audition for this movie. I don't want to audition for this movie. Eddie already mentioned my name. Send this clip to the casting director. Let him know that Eddie wants me in this movie. So make this happen. And that's how it happened.
How about that? That is pretty cool. And you sat there as a kid and loved that movie. That's amazing. I want to ask you because I heard Joel Embiid say that he learned how to shoot basketballs by watching YouTube videos. And I guess he searched watching white guys shoot the basketball. And to me, I always thought that was the funniest thing. So did you ever do anything like that with stand-up, or how to get on stage and actually come up with a stand-up routine?
You know what? That's why I think till today, I think stand-up is a gift from God, you know, because with me, it was more of what I went through as a kid. I came to America at 13 years old. I talked different. I dressed different. I looked different. Kids made fun of me every day. You know, I didn't really get comfortable with myself till I moved to Philadelphia. By the time I got to Philly, I'm like, okay, I've been around for about a couple of years now. I know what these kids expect, you know, and I know how to, I had to learn how to defend myself verbally, because all American kids do in school is roast each other all day, every day. So by the time I got to Philly, I kind of knew how to defend myself. But the funny thing about how I defended myself with an accent. So I made a joke about a kid, but it had an accent with it, so it made him laugh. So my accent and the joke made a kid laugh. And, you know, and that was as close as I got to practicing stand-up comedy, was defending myself just as a regular person. And when my coworker approached me about taking it to the stage, I kind of you know, we wrote a little 5-minute story a little bit, and then we added a little bit of a roasted, because what I noticed, especially my audience now, majority of my audience are younger kids, 10 years old to 21 years old. And anybody between this age range like to just roast you. They just like to clown each other. So I learned that at an early age, you know, when I came to America. So it was so much easier to put that into my act by the time I started stand-up, because I was already doing that in high school.
Wow. And so when you're in Coming to America and you're doing those scenes, and you've got Eddie Murphy, who really is one of the GOATs, or the GOAT, it's kind of like a little kid growing up in Philly watching Allen Iverson play basketball, and then he is on the bench, coming off the bench, or in the game with Allen Iverson. So how nervous were you in that moment to impress Eddie?
Definitely nervous as hell. You know, I was nervous, but I had a talk with him on set, and I read his script, and he said, Mike, we brought you on this for a purpose. Add your own to it. Add a couple of your own stuff to it. And I added my own, even though everything I added was edited out, because mine was because I think the director was trying to make me a serious person. You know, even though I don't think my fans are ready to take me serious. You know, so when I was doing my scene, I added a few things. You know, I remember the scene was I was pretty much introducing my leader, who was Wesley Snipes, right? So I go on, and my scene was to go, walk in, look real angry, put fear in Eddie Murphy, because I wanted him to fear my leader. You know, presenting the supreme leader of Nextdoria, commander of our undefeated troops, killer of lions, tamer of elephants. So Eddie said, okay, Mike, add your own. So I started adding my own. Leader of the dark-skinned committee, the king of pop. And I add a bunch of silly things. And I mean, whenever it was done shooting every scene, everybody on set just cracking the hell up. But the director's like, we have to make this as serious as possible. You know, we have to put fear in Eddie's heart, so we're going to edit out the jokes. But besides all of that, man, it was so wonderful being right there, performing in front of the guy I looked up to my whole life as a comedian.
Oh, come on. I mean, you had everybody laughing naturally. They should have kept that in.
Yeah, they should have. Man, it was so much funny things I did. But it's all good. You get to see me live and see the real funniness on tour. I'm back on tour, thank goodness. We're back performing from human beings again. It feels good.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I go to the Helium Comedy Club a lot. We saw each other at Michael Rubin's Super Bowl party, and I was going to come to you at Temple, I believe, Leah Chorus Center last April, but the world shut down. So I think Philly is looking forward to seeing you live in person. And give me an idea of just how much it means to you when you got that first laugh from the kid in Philly. When you're on stage, is it like oxygen to you getting those laughs?
Oh, definitely, man. I don't get drunk, I don't get high. Like me going on stage when I have the crowd in palm of my hand, that's my high. That's the best feeling in the world, man. I did New Jersey last week. I did a comedy club Stretch Factory last week. Did 7 sold out shows. And 4 out of the 7, the crowd stood up. Like, I mean, they give me a standing ovation, you know. So when I get on that stage, man, it's like comedy is like, you know, it's the feedback from the audience, but I go in there with so much energy, you know. I think, and I got all of that just, I think the place, being raised in Philly, made me a great comic, you know, not just from what I went through, but it's just something about Philadelphia bring the greatness out of people, you know. But going on that stage and that laughter is what pumps up my adrenaline, and it makes me just want to go harder and harder and harder.
Let me ask you this. When I watch performers, okay, you got athletes, right? And they're out there on the field. They've got a ball. They've got helmets on sometimes. And then I see musicians. They're up on a stage in front of 20,000 sometimes, but they've got their guitars. They've got their tool that they're working with. To me, I feel comedians, when you're on stage in front of an audience, it is just you and the audience. It's one-on-one, but the audience, how vulnerable is it? And do you think it's maybe the hardest and most challenging thing to do because of how personal it is with the audience?
It is, definitely. I mean, stand-up it's got to be the hardest entertainment of all time. It's just you by yourself. You have no one to talk to, no one to look at. It's just you and that audience. And that's what makes stand-up comedy great. That's what makes somebody, you know, you think about the Richard Pryor and the Eddie Murphy, those guys who, you know, open the doors for us. Just being on that stage by yourself. I mean, of course, all that comes, you know, I mean, great comedy doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of steps, you know, to become successful. And it's also, you know, things you went through as a kid. Like, I mean, most comics have been through so much as a kid. You know, real comics have have a dark side, you know, regardless what it is. But I think being on that stage just one-on-one, you know, you pretty much have the crowd in the palm of your hand. You have them control. I mean, it's the best feeling in the world, which is you and the audience and a microphone.
All right, so you know when you're killing it on stage, like when you have the crowd in the palm of your hands, you've got rhythm. But has there ever been a time, and I've been to a couple shows where like a comedian comes out and the first joke, you can sense some uneasiness, and inside it's got to be hurting, like, you know, oh, this is not going to go well tonight.
Yes, I mean, we've, you know, all that should just happen maybe earlier in your career. You know, I'm at the point where I've surpassed that now. You know, my audience come out, they already think I'm the funniest man on earth. So I have an edge. You know, everything they've seen me do has always been funny. You go to my social media, you're gonna laugh. You go to YouTube and look me up, you're gonna laugh. You see me in the movie, it might be 2-3 minutes, but it will be the funniest 2-3 minutes of the movie. So I think my audience is they already think I'm the funniest man on earth. So it's just up to me just to deliver. You know, so I already have an edge, and I'm pretty much at the point where I can't go wrong because they love me already. It's like going to see Michael Jackson. You know, Michael Jackson is the greatest entertainer of all time. You're already prepared to be entertained. And I probably had those moments maybe earlier in my career, you know, and that's pretty much switching audience. Like performing from New York and performing to Mississippi is 2 different audiences.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been doing it long enough, and I've seen almost every different type of people to make adjustments. You know, if I'm in Mississippi and I know this joke is not working, I know I have to switch it up and, you know, to something. I know Mississippi, no disrespect to Mississippi or why I'm keep mentioning Mississippi, right? I'm just trying to go as far south as possible, where they might not get a joke. They're more into a physical humor, you know, so I got to do more physical things without jokes that they have to do too much thinking about compared to New York. So the longer you do it, the better you become, and you learn how to make adjustments.
Yeah. Now, my big question for you is, when you come over from Liberia and you wind up growing up in Philadelphia, how did you learn to hate the Cowboys?
Let me see. I guess, you know what, it just became, I mean, I found out that everybody hates the Cowboys. I mean, you know, what made me hate them even more, I got into football in the early 90s, okay? I remember, I mean, everything. I remember, of course, Randall Cunningham was the first quarterback when I got into football. Philadelphia was the first football team I got to love and got to learn what football is all about. I learned football from watching the Eagles play. That was my team. And I remember those early 90s. I think what made me learn to hate the Cowboys so much was how much they won so many championships back in that early 90s and how bad it made us look. And you just learn to hate them. Pretty much the ones that I hated the most. It was so crazy because DC was like right down the street. So you couldn't really hate DC as much. I didn't even understand why the hell was Dallas in our division. They're in Texas, for heaven's sake. I never understood that. Like, why? How is the Cowboys in our division?
And Arizona used to be in the NFC East.
They were. And when Arizona got out, I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be here. I'm like, why you left these Cowboys in here? But I guess the rivalry was so strong that the league did not want to ruin it. And they had to leave them there. So I never understood why some Texas people are still in our division. I understood New York. I understood DC. And, of course, Philadelphia. I'm like, can you find another team? Pittsburgh, can you put somebody else in here that we could, that's down the street? But we had no choice. We learned to hate Troy Aikman and Michael. And I've ran into Michael Irvin, and he's actually a fan. Like, he loved my work. And, he has no idea how much I hated him for many years, But then, of course, and Giants was our rivalry, and DC, but they had freaking Art Monk, who was such a nice guy, Mark Rippon, that just looked so innocent. I just couldn't, as much as we couldn't really, we supposed to hate New York and Redskins. I didn't hate them as much as I hated the Cowboys. Cowboys just winning the championship. I hated Emmitt Smith and the whole crew. I just wish they would just go to another division. But we found a way. We found a way to take over. I think when McNabb came back, when we drafted McNabb, it became our division. I mean, we took over then. We never got a chance to win the Super Bowl. I don't think any team deserved that Super Bowl more than McNabb and his crew. I just felt so bad for those guys, so bad.
Yeah, and then you were there in Minneapolis when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I saw your video on the field. You were screaming. What was that moment like for you?
Oh, my goodness. It's like a chip up my shoulder, man. It's like, finally we did it. It's like now, let's try to, now, once you win it, once you had that feeling of being a champion, I mean, we were never champions, ever. I mean, Super Bowl champs. I know back in the 60s they won the champion. They've never won a Super Bowl. It just felt so good. And we just didn't do it. We did it against the best team in the league, the team that beats everybody. The team that beat us in 2004, was it 3 or 4?
Yep.
In Jacksonville. I was there for that. So it felt good, not just do it, but do it against a great team, the greatest quarterback of all time. We did it. It was just our destiny, and I was glad. I was in the house, I would treasure that moment for the rest of my life.
And when you first came to Philly, what was the first team you got hooked to?
I pretty much I became a fan of everything. I watched the Flyers. I came in the era of Eric Lindros, and I was there. I remember the Detroit finals. I didn't see the Flyers win anything. I didn't see the Sixers, but I was there when we drafted Iverson. Me and Iverson are very good friends. We weren't good friends then. We got to become friends kind of after he retired. But I saw what ups and downs. I saw the Sixers when we had, when we traded Charles Barkley. I'm like, I was there when we traded Charles Barkley and got nothing for Charles Barkley. We got Jeff Hornacek and I forgot Perry, I think.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember all of this?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. We give our best player. We should have got there. We should have got their little point guard. Was it Johnson? Kevin Johnson. Remember him?
Yeah, you're still angry about that trade, huh?
I'm still angry. We should have got Kevin Johnson away from Phoenix. We gave him Charles Barkley and got nothing. We should have took as many things as we get out of them. But then that just shows you that we let go of star, because what happened? Charles Barkley in the NBA Finals against the Chicago Bulls, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you seem to have the same passion about Philly sports that Philly kids that started here as kids growing up. So did you have passion inside of you coming to America, or did Philly kind of bring that out of you?
Philly brought it out of me. You know, my first stop, like I said, when I first came to the States, mind you, I'm like 13 years old. I spent 13 and 14 years old. I was in Jersey. I didn't care about sports. You know, in fact, at that time, my favorite color to today is green. Green is my favorite color. So right now I have twin boys. My twin boys are 14 years old. Okay, they live in Pittsburgh, so they are Steelers fans. They Pirates fans, whatever. But from them being a kid from 6 years old, one of them likes red, one of them likes blue. So their second team is like 49ers and the Cowboys. I'm like, what?
You're not doing it blue as a parent.
Huh?
You're not doing a good job as a parent.
I'm like, what the heck? But you know, I couldn't stop them from liking certain colors. You know, of course they like their home team, Pittsburgh, but then those are their favorite colors, so they'll occasionally root for those teams because of the color. So when I came to the States, I moved to Jersey. For some reason, not for some reason, my favorite color was green from being a kid. So when I get to America, when I finally got a chance to look at sports, I would cheer for any team that was wearing green. Kind of like cheer for the Jets. You know, I had no clue what football was about.
Oh man, that was a tough one there.
I was all confused, right? Then when I got to Philly, I finally got to Philly where I called home, and here it is, my team wears green. I'm like, thank goodness. Not only is this my team, but they're wearing my favorite color.
This is perfect now.
Perfect. Automatically fell in love with them. And then, of course, the Sixers. I'm trying to think, when did I go to the first Sixers game? Oh, my goodness. God, oh, my goodness. I remember we had Manute Bol.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I remember the Manute Bol era. I remember those guys going to playing one time, and I remember running to Manute Bol at the club, and we both being Africans and having a conversation, and talk about, you know, just coming from Africa. This is way back, like 90, 2, 3, 4, something like that, way before the Allen Iverson era. So, yes, Philadelphia just captured my whole attention. And of course, and I'm the biggest Phillies fan than anyone. I mean, I cried when we lost, when Joe Carter hit that home run.
Oh man, that was
my sister still teased me to today. I was like 18 years old, cry. And I mean, what I like best, believe it or not, one of my favorite sports is baseball, and I love the Phillies. And to me, baseball is such a relaxing sport. And I'm not sure how many black kids out there would really say they love baseball. It's really not a black kid sport. But for some reason, man, that sport is so relaxing. It kind of reminds me of stand-up comedy because it's like one-on-one. One guy going, you know what I mean? It's just him by himself to hit that ball. It's not like a football or basketball. You get a chance to pass the ball to other people. When you when you out there batting, it's just you by yourself.
Yeah, and it's all about timing, right?
Timing. It's like comedy. You by yourself and the right timing to hit that ball, to hit that home run.
You're exactly right. To wrap this up, I got a couple quick questions. So what I'm getting from you is, when you came to Philadelphia, Philly really kind of molded you, made you tougher, brought out the passion, but also it was great training for you in the comedy world just because of the level of expectation?
Definitely, man. Philly brought, you know, sometimes it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. Philly brought that out of me, man. It made me stronger, tougher. Of course, growing up in Southwest Philly, which was not Upper Darby, it wasn't Yaden, it wasn't Sharon Hill, you know. Up Southwest was the hood, you know, so it made you tough. It made me street smart. You know, it made me a great comic to defend myself on the street verbally, because all kids want to do is make fun of what you're wearing, how you look, how you talk, you know. And then, of course, the sports teams. I mean, Philly as a whole, man, it's just a tough city. I mean, think about, look at all the great ones that came out of Philadelphia.
Yep. All right, so that's a great way to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you to give me your Mount Rushmore of your favorite Philly athletes and your Mount Rushmore of comedians all time that affected you the most and you look up to and admire.
Oh goodness! All right, Philly athletes. Let me start. I was goodness specific. Randall Cunningham. That's number one. First quarterback I watched play. So amazing. He could throw the ball. He could run the ball. I mean, so many guys look up to him. I mean, that's Michael Vick. All those guys copied off of him. Yep. Randall Cunningham was the beginning. He was the originator of a running quarterback. All right, so we'll go with that, and then let's go to another sport. And I gotta go. Of course, going back to football, I gotta go with the team that gave me the Super Bowl championship. Nick Foles. I gotta give shout out to Nick Foles. He was like this amazing, quiet guy. You didn't know what to expect from him, but then he won the most important games. He won those playoff games to get us and to get that Super Bowl championship. So I got to give Nick Foles, he will always have a part of history with Philadelphia sports. Winning us our first Super Bowl. Let's go, of course, basketball, let's go to Allen Iverson. I mean, passion, heart. This kid could have easily won the NBA championship by himself. So nobody had a heart like Allen Iverson.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound. And of course, with hockey, I go with Eric. I remember Eric Lindros. I mean, he pretty much took on the whole Flyers by himself, But he didn't get a chance to win it here, but he did it. He had a great season, kept us in the pennant every year. So shout out to Eric Lindros. And then of course, I sat, like I said, I cried way back in the day when Mitch Williams gave away that home run. And then I'm going to fast forward to 2008, when, when Ryan Howard, we had Jimmy Rollins, those guys all stepped through and gave me a baseball championship. I think that's awesome. Oh yeah, of course, I think the greatest athlete of Philadelphia all time gotta be Dr. J. Julius Erving. Shout out to him. And the thing about, I didn't get the same play because I wasn't in the States, but when I got into basketball, I read a lot about him, and I've been to the stadium, and he's there all the time. He's mentoring our kids, and he's making our players even greater.
And nobody is cooler than Dr. J. All right, so
nobody cooler than Dr. J. Man.
Give me your top 4 comedians all time.
Top 4 comedians all time. Eddie Murphy got to be number 1 because I watched him when I came to America. Of course, Come to America, my favorite movie of all time. Then, of course, Beverly Hills Cops 1 and 2. And then, of course, the greatest stand-up to me of all time are Raw and Delirious. I kind of missed the Richard Pryor era, but when I started doing stand-up, I started studying Richard Pryor. So Richard Pryor got to be number 2 for me. And then I got to go with number 3, got to be, Dave Chappelle right now. Dave Chappelle is brave. And he's fearless, and he's still giving out great specials, So I got Dave Chappelle, and of course another guy too that I liked a lot. That Chris Rock, definitely one of my favorites. Those are my top 4 right now. So we got Richard Pryor, we got Eddie Murphy first, Richard Pryor, we got Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, and of course I think I'm number 5 of all time.
There you go. Someday they will add room for you there. Hey, Michael Blackson, this was awesome. It was so great to get the feeling from you about how much Philly means to you. And I remember you saying you're coming home to Helium, which means to me you consider Philly your home. And that's
always. Definitely. Philly's always be my home, man. I have a home there. I have quite a few homes in Philly. I built a house in Bear, Delaware. I have a house in Penrose Plaza. And I have 2 other properties in Southwest Philly where my brothers them live. Philly will always be number one home. I'm home almost every month just to not lose that touch of Philadelphia. It's the greatest place to be in America.
That's awesome. And you are coming back to the Helium Comedy Club, and they keep adding shows to try to get out and check out Coming to America on Amazon Prime. Really, really, really funny scene. But I want to get a copy of that outtake that you have of when you had everybody rolling on the floor.
Okay, definitely. I'll send it to you, man.
You got it. Thanks a lot for the time, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
I'm the greatest. flagrant.